walk me through with our discourse that we have set up for our community. We have the locked governance channel on there,
Yes, yes.
and people can submit proposals there. Those proposals,
No, you
I
can't
mean,
actually
not
submit.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is where I think where I've gotten mixed up. So I'm
yeah.
proposal is just the idea. So they're submitting the idea
So
on
proposal is not
discourse.
the idea. Let's actually proposal is not the idea. Proposal is actually the code that gets
The
executed.
code. Okay.
And you can discuss the idea wherever you want. In the same way that if
Yeah.
you think about like democracy, right? Like people go discuss a proposition that a law that they want to have in the New York Times. So think of the Unlock the Community website as the New York Times. That's where people say, hey, it would be cool if we did this. Somebody write an op-ed or it's like, oh, I want us to do this. And then people like, no, this is not a good idea. So hey, this is a great idea. We should do this. And say, hey, yes, if we do this, we should also do this way. So that's where the discussion happens. That is part of the process from an organizational perspective. It is not part of the voting process. It's not part of the actual governance mechanism, right? Like nothing says in the US law that people have to discuss laws in the New York Times. But I would expect, or other newspapers, obviously, but I would expect that if some governor or senator wants to pass a law, they would try to have many discussion with their other, friends, with normal people, with their, what you call this, whatever, like the people in their states and stuff like this. They would maybe write something in the New York Times or go on CNN or go on Fox News and say, hey, I want us to do this, and this is why I think this is a good idea. So that process is, again, not part of the actual governance process, but it's part of the broader set of things that you want to do before you submit a transaction. Because if you want people to vote in favor of something, you need to tell them what this is about and why you think this is a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So we're looking at it's a hybrid of community building, creating the platform for discourse and for, I mean, not discourse platform, but for conversation.
Or actual conversation, yeah.
And for feedback going back and forth. And then once the collective decides, okay, yes, this has enough meat, we're going to then put it on chain and put it through the governance process.
Exactly. And it's again, very similar to how actual democracy works. I don't expect the senator of Colorado to just say, I'm going to write something in secret, don't tell anyone, and then show up at the House and say, hey, vote on this. And then, maybe they can do that, but it's unlikely that anyone will vote yes, because in practice, people say, hey, wait, I need to think more about this. I need to ask some experts on the topic if this is a good idea. I need to gather information from some other, senators, or to see if that is also something that they would get behind. That whole process is politics in that way. That can happen on the discourse forum. That can happen on Discord. That can happen completely outside of my or Unlock Inc.'s, field of vision. Like we don't need to know about this. In the same way that I am sure sometimes the Democrats will work on a proposition without telling the Republicans. I don't think it's a good idea, but they can do that. And then they show up, and if they have enough, pro or votes in favor, then it goes through. So this is not part of the governance process. It's part of the politics process in that way.
Yeah, it's part of the whole process.
It's part of the thing. And I would recommend, because I think it's a good idea, that people discuss these things before, so that people can express their opinions. And if you realize like, hey, nobody really wants this, it's probably not worth submitting, because you're going to waste time doing so.
Yeah, and gas money.
Right? and maybe you're going to make some people upset, and then next time you want them to do something that maybe is a good idea, they might not just go for it. Say, hey, no, you went ahead and submitted something that nobody would approve. It wasn't approved, so you wasted everybody's time, and in the end, I don't think it's good politics or good governance in that way.
Yeah.